Hey guys, this is Conservative Knight here, and there's just something that I just gotta get off my chest on a video here. I was watching a video by, as you can see here, Paul Joseph Watson of InfoWars, and he was quoting a lot of black statistics, anti black statistics, stuff that the media doesn't talk about, the specific stats the media will never bring up. And this really brings me to what's wrong with both sides of this debate. And so we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter. And, at the beginning of this is just, well, of course, all lives matter. But when you get down into the issues, it's, I think that it goes a lot deeper than what people are putting. But first of all, let me just say this. Yes, black lives do matter. Yes, racism does exist. I am a conservative, and I will say that as a fact. It does exist. But the politics of the debate has made everything so emotionally charged that nobody understands what the thing of race is. Liberals will often quote conservatives as being racist. And conservatives respond by saying racism does not exist. And I'm going to get on to you conservatives. As a conservative myself, as a conservative, I come from a place with a very heavy black population. So I know a little bit more about these things. And I'm just going to tell you this about you conservatives. You're wrong, and your defeatist way of arguing this is it's not causing the problem, but you're allowing the problem. Think about it this way. You see a domestic violence situation where you see a woman getting the shit beat out of her. The conservatives are essentially looking at that battered woman, and the battered woman is the black community. They're turning their heads and they're walking away. That is just as wrong as doing it. I won't say quite, well, not quite as wrong, because you're going to hear in a minute where the problem is. But first of all, we're going to debunk some things here. And this video does a great job. Again, look at the title of the video, search it on YouTube. You'll find the issue. And I also responded to it too, so if you want to see what I have to say in text form, you could look at that too, or you can pause the video, read it there, whatever you want to do. But, okay. Now, Paul Joseph Watson goes into a bunch of stats saying that, blacks are, the average black person is 5 times more likely to have a homicide against a white person than a white person is against a black person. Black on white rape is almost exclusive. There's almost no white on black rape. He goes into a lot of this, and let me just say, I've done other videos on this, so I'm not going to waste your time going to the FBI stats and looking up the data. It's on other videos if you want to see it, but let me just say that these stats are roughly true. Roughly, because he gets a little bit of the wording incorrect in some spots. If you have questions about where, I can answer those in the comments. But here's my point. My point is that the liberals never bring up this stuff. Never. Not one. You will never see liberals bring up these statistics. Like black homicides, despite blacks making up 13.5% of the population, they make up half of homicides. Why is this? I'll tell you later, but because I'm getting ahead of myself. But that explains the police discrepancy in the black police being shot by white police, black police being shot, excuse me, versus or black victims being shot more than white victims. You know, blacks, despite making up 13.5% of the population, make up about a third of those targeted by police. But when you factor in violent crime, it's actually lower for blacks. Like, blacks make up 52% of crime, but they're only shot at a rate of 33%. So, blacks are being, or whites are being overrepresented in terms of that. So that is completely debunked, and you are incorrect about that, media. And we need to start looking at where the real problems are. And let me just say this. All of these statistics that you will see, the black and white discrepancies between police shootings, homicides, incarceration rates, rapes, all of this stuff, it points to one thing, and this is the dirty little liberal secret, and it's going to come out eventually. Because you're not going to keep hiding this from the people. Gang violence. Blacks, the biggest problem against the black community is gang violence. Period. And it's almost exclusive to them. Blacks and white Hispanics. That's where all your racially motivated crimes come in. That's where all your police targeting comes in. That's where your mass shootings come in. It is gang violence. Why doesn't the liberals mention this? Well, let me tell you why. Where would you say that the gang violence is? Baltimore? Detroit? St. Louis? New York City? Los Angeles? All these places are liberal areas. Liberal, yes. Liberals have taken control of most of our large metropolitan areas. And I'm sorry, but that's the cause of the gang violence. If you look at who has been targeted by the policies of liberals, minimum wage, manufacturing regulation, which caused the collapse of manufacturing, this is caused by liberals, Democrats. They put these policies in order to extort the black vote. It is what is called manufactured poverty, folks. Manufactured poverty. Write that down. Because if you forget what you heard right here, you're participating in the problem, liberal or conservative. It is manufactured poverty among black people. And let me explain. You take the jobs away from the black community. Lo and behold, what do you think the black unemployment rate is? First of all, let me just tell you the total unemployment rate. It's been hovering between 6-7%. It might even be right at 6%. You know what the black unemployment rate is? I'll give you a second to either think about it, pause the video, or look up the stat for yourself so you could be astonished. You ready? 35%. 35%. And that's the total. That's not even youth unemployment, which is even higher. That's just the total black unemployment. 35%. So if you're not working, then you're put on welfare. And let me just say this: welfare for an inner city, it means nothing. It's paying people to be in poverty. And then what happens? You get liberals who come in promising more benefits and a light at the end of the tunnel, all while black people are living in urban squalor. And to add to that, the propaganda of racist conservatism, and if you dare vote for a conservative mayor of your city, guess what? There goes your benefits. Bye bye. Bye bye. There goes your benefits. That's their rhetoric. And so black people feel compelled to vote for Democrats because they're scared. And I'm not saying, I mean, any one of us could get duped by a scheme like that. Any one of us. It's not skin color at all that has anything to do with it. It's any one of us could fall victim to that. You're put in a vulnerable spot. You lost your job because your job moved to China. What are you going to do? How are you going to feed your kids? How are you going to take care of your elderly parents? How are you going to do any of that? You fall into this realm of hopelessness. There's nothing you can do. So you either trust the government or you join a gang because they're going to take care of you because you've lost your ability to care for yourself, and that's what's happened. You and so here's the point I'm making. I'm not good at communicating this, but I understand what the problem is. The point I'm making is, yes, black people do have a right to be angry. You are 100% right. You have a right to be angry because there is racism against you. 100%. There is racism. And Republicans need to stop pretending it doesn't exist. It does. Yes, you do matter, though. But you're fighting the wrong enemy. You're fighting the wrong enemy because you're supporting the people who are causing your problems. The liberals are causing the problems with black America. That is the cold, hard truth. And here's my message to Republicans, conservatives. We've lost on this issue for half a century. Even when we were trying to get rid of segregation, this is something else that's not mentioned in the media or this video, but Democrats got the black vote well before segregation was done. And they get it through the exact same methods, through extortion, through oppressive tactics. And I think somewhere along the line, maybe it was during Clinton's administration, maybe it was Bush, maybe it was even Reagan, I don't know at what point, but at some point, I think Republicans gave up fighting because no matter what happened or what they did, they could not get the black vote. So it was political to just, you know, as I say figuratively, turn your head away from the battered woman. and isolate her. That's not the right solution. If you guys want to fight for ISIS, fight Muslims, fight terrorists, I fully agree. But we have to be fighters even if we're fighting a losing battle on this issue. We can't pretend it doesn't exist because it just leaves our opponents to say whatever they want, to do whatever they want, and put us conservatives on defense. You can't let people just say what they want. You have to have a counter message to the black community, even if it is a losing message. It has to be there because we have to fight tooth and nail to get this propaganda out, or to get more people to understand that it is propaganda and that the real racial issue is gang violence. It's like I said, if you look at every statistic of disparity, point to one. Uh, Let me just issue this challenge. Point to me one statistic of racial disparity that does not point back to gang violence. Point to one. If you can find one, you can't find many, because I can quote to you a million of them. It's it goes back to that one thing. Gang violence and urban squalor. That's the reality. And conservatives need to start looking into this and not have such a defeatist attitude toward those who want to spread propaganda. We've got to win on this issue, because if we don't, then what's going to happen is we're going to get overrun. This country is going to be taken over by vote harvesting politicians who don't give a damn about people, and it is going to sink this country into a state where politicians are fighting over each other over their own self interests, where the Constitution means nothing, the people mean nothing, your safety means nothing. It'll just be a power grab. We have to get away from that before it's too late. And it all starts with issues like this, where we cannot let propaganda win. But that's basically all I have to say. Get educated on racism, both parties. Both. And liberals, if you want to prove to me that you're not racist, if you want to prove that to me, start talking about these things. Start talking about getting rid of the rampant gang violence in your inner cities. And don't just say some little kitty thing like, oh, we have to eliminate poverty, we got to do this and that. No. You eliminate it by directly getting rid of the gang violence. And here's the way you do it. And this needs to be reported. And in fact, if any show host is watching this, you better damn well be reporting this. Because now you have knowledge. And if you have knowledge and no action, you are part of the problem. So here's what needs to be done. We've got to stop acting like the welfare state works. It doesn't. It's not working for them. It's not working for anybody. We've got to start getting a private sector back in our inner cities, encouraging business, not letting in 11 million illegal immigrants, and saying they get to stay here and compete for the same jobs that black people are competing for. We need to say that we want you to set up a business in our city. Set up your Walmarts, even if it's unskilled labor, it needs to start somewhere. Give them unskilled labor jobs, and then with that money, they will pay for better things, and that is how you're going to improve things. But it's got to start somewhere. We have to start getting jobs back in those areas. Because when you have a job, you don't need to rely on a gang. You don't need to rely on the government. You don't need drugs in order to compensate for anything. Because you have a responsibility. Somebody wants you around. They value your work. They value your time. And for most people in this country, that's enough. They got it made. And when you can do that, liberals, when you can start solving the problem and stop giving somebody just something to complain about, you'll prove to me that you're not a racist. Because let me tell you now, right now, you are the racists. You are causing the problems. You are the man beating on the woman who is helpless and defenseless against your attacks. You know, that's what you are. Anyhow, thanks for listening. God bless.